friend. Thinklet Demo, Canada. Great times.
Great times indeed. It's been a long couple of days. Now we have culmination where Product Council is going to be joining us from global spots where we have in the United States, we have it over in Asia, and we're going to have product development from your team, and you, of course, being the product manager over at Thinklet. These have been very dedicated since Asia Demo 2025, when we really focused in on the idea of product development for the MVP status. Also, there have been new concept generations, which are now going through verification research. We did announce while we were in India that there was a new entrepreneur academy that was opening up, Till Academy. We have global entrepreneurs, product council, entrepreneur lawyers who are joining and teaching at the academy, and entrepreneurs and really, frankly, people who have been in the concept generation business for centuries. Over when you think about it, centuries worth of experience that they have. When you add it all up, that's on there.
The workshops have been great, and we talk about the concept generation and the product development. We're actually going to be filming this podcast tomorrow here at the incredible Madusante offices here in Quebec. We're actually going to capture one of our meetings with our partners, our strategic partners over in Pune, India. So we really get to show Till Academy product development in real time. So I think that's going to be a really amazing thing for our followers to see, to really capture exactly this Demo 25 here in Canada that we're doing. Again, very focused on product development. New concept generation is unfolding. But again, with all these incredible startups like Madusante, Till Academy, Thinklet, MGSN, we're really all coming together to really focus on getting these ideas, executing them, and bringing them to market.
Well, first of all, you mentioned Madusante. Madusante, they have these beautiful offices here in Sainte-Foy.
Absolutely beautiful.
Sainte-Foy, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's this fantastic bucolic suburb of Quebec City. Very, very beautiful, very well laid out, planned out. Restaurants, phenomenal. We started off the day with pillow and teas arrangement for that wonderful little French cafe that we had. Fresh baguettes.
Great coffee.
Coffee was on. Then we got here to Madusante, who is working with Pillow and Tea. Had a very healthy lunch that was kept the workers working away at their product development. That was on there, and that was basically a five-star. You couldn't get a much greater rating on a 5-star restaurant that's on there. So thank you, Madusante. You've been nothing but a gracious host for these workshops. These workshops are very long because when you do, as you know, when you do this validation research, there's a certain verification steps that have to come into play. These concept generations started back about a year ago in Virginia at a workshop that we had, preparing for the different theme of Euro Demo 2024 Thinklet. And that was building strategic networks along a global picture. One of the things that when in developing what our curriculum is going to be at Till Academy, which will be an Asian-based academy, but it will hit primarily a global platform. It won't be just here in North America. It won't be in Europe. My focus is obviously on the South market. One of the participants that's going to be in tomorrow's most innovative and free content entrepreneurs out there. We're going to show you what it takes to do concept generation, which means business ideas. You're coming up with business ideas. You always want to do a slate. You do that by yourself, on a subway, on a metro, anything kind of business idea comes here, put it onto your phone and then start refining them. Now, here's what here's one of the things that we see, and this is posted on the Facebook account of MGSN. You can get many times you go to a session, a trade show, a workshop, whatever, and you get these great ideas, and you come up with these great ideas, and you're really enthusiastic about it. But a lot of these ideas die on the vine. And one of the things that help in between, you have the demo product, and the demo product was a product development that started years ago, really, and it was refined. It was actually started right up here in Canada. During a boot camp, when we started thinking, what's the best way to develop a goal of what we had. What we had was we went, our law firm, we do a lot of transaction work. We have an incubator, as you know. We've had companies come and go out of our incubators who then graduated out of that and that went into enterprise state. So what we are looking for was, how do we accomplish everything that we did, which involved a lot of travel, a lot of road shows, a lot in building out strategic networks. Well, the digital product demo allowed for that, because at the end of the day, you can't go completely back to the way things were done before the digital revolution. But on the other side of the coin, you can't completely abandon that either. So this was a perfect product that you developed, and we launched it in Europe, and was tremendous success. And also, we were able to get the way you guys collaborated with your fellow colleagues in the incubator, like you had Pillow and Tea, who launched its very first product, support, and did a phenomenal job in Europe. Then we went to Asia this past winter, and I can't tell you the amount of growth that Pillow and Tea had from that founder to the present is immense. And of course, this has been, you can only just say, not enough for Pillow and Tea.
I'm glad you mentioned Pillow and Tea, because again, they handle all the business, travel, logistics for us, the hospitality here at DEMO25 here in Canada. They've just been incredible with what they've been trying to do, tech, and pushing the boundaries of what travel tech can be. But I'm glad you also mentioned, my friend, when it comes to digital development, we're kind of showing off here in our workshops, concept generation, the product development, the, going to market, marketing, digital marketing, and then, getting that feedback. And I think, when you talk about going from your concept development, really researching and critiquing that, it's so easy to have great business ideas. It almost seems like everyone has a great business idea. I think the key to digital development, though, is actually executing, because so many times we've seen this in product development where people start criticizing, people start researching, and things just die out. It's very hard to execute that and actually get to market. The goal of the product development, I think, is, okay, don't let it die here. If it's got to die anywhere, let it die in the market. I think the big goal is, let's get it to market, and if the market tells us it's crap, then we can live with that. I think the key to a lot of these developments we're doing here is, okay, let's critique it, let's research it, we got to execute it and not give up so it gets to marketplace. And I'm really excited about whether it's Pillow and Tea, what they're doing, Till Academy, what they're doing, and then a lot of the developments that we're doing with the Global Creative Center. I think it's really important that we get these things to market, and it takes a lot of effort. I think the hardest part really is that development, that digital development, because to go from idea to the marketplace is quite a long endeavor.
It is a long endeavor, and you have contracting marketplace in certain jurisdictions here in North America, for example. So one of the exciting participants that we're going to have in tomorrow's innovative, and I must say, I rarely see what you guys are offering here. I think we're offering the entrepreneur community out there, the young entrepreneurs in particular, who are trying to reposition themselves from jobs in which they are really, frankly, being exploited, to say, well, can I do this on my own? And one of the things, it's easy, as you said, to come up with a business idea, because if you're in the marketplace, which everybody is, you're going to say, gee, if we could only get this, well, we only have A, B, C, and D. And,
Right.
and then there's a little bit of excitement when you write it down, and then you tell people, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. But as you can personally attest to, there's many, many downs and there are ups, but initially you got to get through the downs, the time that's on it. Now, what's interesting in this podcast that you're putting out tomorrow is there have been two developments that you have built out, products that you have built out, Finklin has, and you being a product manager as well as a developer. It's also great to see somebody taking the initiative to learn and thrive in those roles. So you got, when you have a startup company, look at how much capital that you're saving in Finklin by you taking and becoming both the developer and the manager. And of course, us product counsel, you're always very diligent in reaching out to product counsel to make sure that are we compliant with, if we're going to introduce this product over in, say, France, are we in compliance for that? There's going to be a great ebooks, these ebooks that are coming out that these wonderful professionals, where I think, because I exaggerate with centuries of experience, but once you see everybody on there, you're going to see these have been entrepreneurs and lawyers who have been in the marketplace for quite some time.
They're truth always.
And great life experiences to share. One of them is going to be, to me, is really exciting, is Gerard McCabe, New York lawyer, will be beaming into the Finklin studio podcast. Do you see that? I said the studio podcast. See, one of the things that Finklin works with Pillow and Tea very well is finding these locations. And Matt Sante's office was picture perfect, and they designed the studio format that's on there. And setting that up requires that the parties come in to the facility of the employer. And what's great about the product you offer, if you're an employer or if you're a law firm, you're going to come into their site. You're going to use their site through the designers that you have both at Pillow and Tea and at Finklin. And everyone should know that you're an architect background, an artist background, and Pillow and Tea is run by a founder who's an engineer background. So they have this capability of setting up these studios, and really, really good studios that play well in the digital stage. But there was another product that you developed while we were in India, and it really came it debuted in the concept generation phase when you were in the Global Capability Center in Pune, India, and that's the AI podcast. Now, the AI podcast is great because once the studio one's done, which is a long, sort of an in-depth analysis where you're presenting the overall show to whatever that issue may be. Then you want to say, okay, well, let's do some follow-ups before we have that next stage studio presentation or podcast. So you did a really good job with existing technologies and integrating it into the employers and also the entrepreneurs' needs of having a AI generated podcast so you can go on a weekly basis. So you're feeding off the existing podcast and you're building the crescendo up to the next one. Now, that involves existing technology, and you're basically using your content development team to drive that. The one that I'm really impressed with, which was launched, it was developed in your Finklin campus in Boston. You exposed us to it when we arrived at Boston. I believe it or not, that was about a week ago, but it seems like a year ago. And that's the RFP, Rapid Fire Podcast. And Rapid Fire Podcast is really great because then you're basically creating the content. You're setting two people, if they're in our law firm, we're going to sit down and say, hey, there was a recent case that came out of the Supreme Court. That's going to be relevant to what we sort of intimated at one podcast. And that the next the studio podcast has come up. We want to do a rapid fire because we want to get that out tonight. The Supreme Court decision came in at 5 p.m. We want to be at 5:35 p.m. on an RFP. And I got to tell you something, those RFP podcasts that you do, they're great, and they're great feeders to build up because it will lead me to an AI podcast. And then when we have the studio podcast, then so that's a great product that Finklin has. And I don't see anybody out in the marketplace who's got an RFP podcast.
And the different forms of content, everyone knows the different forms of content, whether it's podcasts, website, white papers, articles, blogs, different than that. But even within those, there's different forms that you're talking about, my friend, which is even within the podcast category, there's different ways to put out your podcast. You can have what we're doing right now, which is very highly produced podcast. We send this to the Global Creative Center. Shout out to that team. They put out a nice polished podcast, put it out on YouTube. That's fantastic. People are, mostly used to that, where you can You can put clips out and all that and really, really market that out. That's great. But that doesn't hit every audience. That only hits a particular audience that's used to long form content. Well, the rapid fire podcast that you're talking about is in real time. So we film it immediately and then we immediately upload it. And that hits a whole nother level of audience. That hits the audience that's on TikTok and on Instagram Reels that are looking for authentic, real content. They don't want the edited fluff. They don't want, a highly produced stuff. They want to see something real and authentic. You see a lot of these other influencers online that they hold up their phone and they speak right into the camera. And there's no BS. It's just me and you, and it's authentic. And I think that is another thing that Thinkland has been able to develop, because we understand even within the podcast space, there's different ways of going about it, and there's different audiences you're going to hit. And then to add a third one, like you're saying, the AI podcast, and that's taking advantage of all these incredible artificial intelligence tools that are out there. And these are things that are updating and evolving every single day. And that's one thing that Thinkland really takes pride in, is staying up to date on all of those different things and learning how to engineer prompts within all of those tools. And I think that's another way for Thinkland, not only to show off where we are as far as developing within AI, but it gives our clients, again, that third option to show off, hey, maybe I don't have time to sit down, and do a one-on-one like we are. Maybe I don't have time or don't feel comfortable getting in front of a camera and just posting whatever. Okay, Thinkland can then say, what do you want to write about? Give us, a topic or give us some thought copy on what you want to do. And we'll create with artificial intelligence, a podcast, a form of content that you can put out into your audience, and then that they can take in. And I think, again, when we talk about content and digital marketing, digital development, these are really important right now, because right now, more than ever, there's options, and it can be a little overwhelming for clients, for businesses, for small startups. I think for Thinkland, we will help guide you, into whatever direction that you want to do, whatever form of content to really hit on your audience, because depending on what space you're in, what industry, what business service you are, we will help guide you to really find, again, your target audience and format your content that's going to be the most digestible and the most engaging to your audience.
I mentioned Gerard McCabe's name. So the reason why he's product counsel, and particularly in an industry that up here in Canada and down in the United States, across the Atlantic, the most European countries, the fast consumer package moving goods, right? That's a problem. That's a major league problem in the sense that if I have fast moving consumer goods, packaged goods, think of cookies, think of sodas, think of races, think of all these various consumer goods that you see in convenience stores. We have a marketplace that's contracting. Now, Canada's got a little bit more open to expanding their population through immigration, but their birth rates are slow. In the United States, we're at a zero birth rate, or near a zero birth rate. Contracting immigration policies aren't helping. Same thing in Europe, for the most part. With the exception of Ireland, I don't think there is a country that has and the European Union has positive growth rate. That's on there. Ironically, and it's intensely ironic, because in Ireland, where there's still, because of that high population, you still have a lot of Irish youth who will go over to, now they come to Canada. They used to go to the U.S., but again, stymied immigration policies prevent that. So in Australia, and that yet they're still hosting immigrants from primarily East Africa and in Central Europe, a little bit from the Middle East. That's on there, and so they are able, through, even though they're losing some of their population to immigration, they've been able to offset it with sort of a humane and intelligent immigration policy, other than just say no. And now they have the largest population they've had since the devastation of the famine and all the varied uprisings and troubles that were the effect of the colonization, which unfortunately still going on. But despite that, the idea of you can have a fast consumer packaged good that will probably survive in a country like that for a while. For the vast majority, you probably, if you're in the manufacturing base, you're going to want to go into the South market. But there's still some opportunities for you for global expansion. Now, Gerard McCabe is an SME lawyer, and the SME market is the most vulnerable in this contracting market. It's going to be really interesting to see how he's going to address a curriculum that he's producing, a book that he's writing on how you in the SME market, whether you're here in Canada, or you're down in the United States, or you're over the Atlantic in Europe, how you can you can take advantage of some of the growing product lines that like Finland is developing in order to get your products into the South market, which is what one of my expertise that are in there, where there's a consumer need for some of those products and a consumer base that's going to be a long-term base that's on there. So what you're going to see in MGSN land out there, because MGSN, I believe, is covering this. Is that correct?
Yeah, we'll be covering that whole as a podcast tomorrow. We'll be basically capturing that entire meeting, which we usually do on a weekly basis because product development doesn't stop.
Right.
And we'll be able to capture that. And I think, as you were saying before, my friend, where digital development, the nice thing that ThinkLen, I think, is able to do, and this comes back, I think, from my architectural experience, is we bring another aspect to digital development. It's not completely outsourced. We are very hands-on. So it's also project management. Project management is something sometimes that's completely separate from digital development. But for us, we really like this hands-on thing because it is an never-ending process. And when it comes to these meetings, I think it's really important is having these, when we're developing these products, to have a good amount of structure and knowing, having these, got to have deadlines. You got to hold people accountable. And I think the best thing of this that I think people are going to be able to see tomorrow is because we have such good thought leaders, and we're doing all these new incredible things within digital development, it still comes back to the traditional way of, hey, if we're having an academy, even though it's a digital academy, you still got to have a book and you still got to have professors. And I think really, as we're taking all these different people that have really extreme expertise on these topics, they really are acting as these digital professors. And what we're trying to accomplish here in digital development is like, okay, where are the products that we want to start first? Again, we're trying to go from idea, a concept, to something that we can actually execute. And I think our first task, which our audience gets to see tomorrow, is that, hey, our first task is that ebook. Let's get that first ebook. What is going to really encompass your expertise, and then we can start to form a curriculum around that. And that curriculum doesn't have to be, again, that traditional curriculum, but it starts with that ebook, and then we can create courses from there. We can create videos, we can create podcasts. We can do all the new age formats of content, but I think it still starts with that old school way of, hey, you got your professor or expert within a space. We want to read your book. We want to get that at the end of the day, it still is you sitting down and reading, whether it's on an iPad or with a physical book. And I think that's a good place for us to start. So I'm glad people tomorrow will be able to really dive into that meeting and kind of see where we're all within that, because I think it's really, might not seem exciting, but sometimes that grittiness and the critique and trying to go through those developments is really important for people to see, especially for entrepreneurs.
Well, one of the other interesting guests that you're going to have on there is, I believe, committed to teach at the academy, Sabi Ghosh. Sabi Ghosh is a global data engineer, and he's a global data attorney. And he, I believe, is currently working on 3 books for public. I believe, you're correct me, I don't want to jump the gun here, but they're going to be published out of your new publishing house,
Yeah. I think we'll be collecting all these products and really packaging these products or ebooks and publishing them ourselves. And yeah, Sabi's ahead of the curve here. We set him out with a task, last week of coming with his ebook. He's already developed 3, so we're really excited to dive into those tomorrow.
I'll tell you what. I'm an intellectual property attorney down in the States. We do a lot of litigation, but we also do prosecution of intellectual property. We're probably in the wellness sector. We're one of the leading IP lawyers on developing trade secrets or formulas that are on there. But I don't hold a candle to the guy who's going to be teaching IP law at the academy. Now, how you guys are able to get Pankaj Jain is a global IP lawyer, very well respected. He is writing a book on the emergence of IP and AI, the clash between the two. And I was privileged to attend his seminar, which I believe you guys are going to turn into a webinar.
Yeah, we are so excited about Pankaj Jain joining Till Academy because, like you're saying, he blew us away when we went over to Pune because we, of course, were debuting Thinkland demos over there in Pune, and his demo blew our entire team away. I think it blew all of our startup leaders and everyone that attended the demos over there in Pune. Really blew us away. And he's such an incredible thought leader within a space, and from this incredible expertise and legal background to really, I mean, this is stuff that we're going to be dealing with the next decade, maybe longer, with all this artificial intelligence. And he really spoke to the concerns from not just from the consumer perspective, but also from an entrepreneur and business perspective. Who owns AI when we're prompting? Is it the prompter? Is it the company that created the tool? Is it the consumer? Is it the artist that they took all this data from? There's so many questions within this. And he was able to really hit on a lot of these things within, his demo over there in Pune. And I think we were so excited about his presentation. We were able to, get him to join Till Academy. And he's developing his own ebook. So really excited to talk to him tomorrow and for him to show off what he's developing. But again, there's, the great thing about Till Academy is going to really encompass so many different spaces and industries within it. And for entrepreneur, they're all very important pieces of the puzzle when you're within digital development, you're starting your own business.
It is really exciting. It's also an exciting opportunity. I believe MGSN should be given a big thumbs up for they provide free content for entrepreneurs or those who are thinking about entrepreneurs. So that it's all really good stuff. And by the way, what I really like about MGSN is they're not just putting their own content out there, which is great. That's fine, but they're searching the global databases in order to come up with from various news sources that's on there. So we're here in Canada. We're here in this wellness firm. Mac, the socialized medicine in Canada and in France is suffering an immense pressure because of the rising price of drug medicines. Now there are two diseases that Madhu Sante really tries to drive down. So what you'll see in the States is a rising level, and in Europe, a rising level of obesity among those who are under 40 years old. That has led to a rise in hypertension and diabetes too, at a very young age. So what do you do if you're in France? And what did we do? What did MGS and do they put on the whole expose? Showed at BFM Business TV, Paris-based media company, and they could have said, well, we'll just do our own expose. But they frankly did. They just showed, hey, here's an opportunity for us to curtail in the socialized medicines field two basic things. If you have a 35-year-old patient who is taking high blood pressure machines and medicines and diabetes medicines, and now their projected lifespan is into the 80s, well, that's going to be a gigantic burden on the healthcare system. If you're able to send them to a company like Madhu Sante, who's going to say, hey, look, we're going to address through various DASH protocols and other methodologies so that you can gain control over these two diseases, because they are lifestyle-related diseases, then you're going to provide a solution to the problem that was identified in BFM. I like the way I really truly like the way MGSN handled that issue because they published with full acknowledgement that BFM, and they say that in their statements, in their terms of service. We don't know everything. We're here. We're to provide the new business news to the new business generation, and we want you to know that we're here. This is so that you can take this and you can. We're not going to be helicopter parents or snowplow parents. We're going to show you this is what you can run with. This is gets you started. And if you look towards some of we put a lot of stuff in, we reviewed a lot of stuff, I should say, from Thinkland. There's a lot of content that you're putting out to your fellow young entrepreneurs that's out there free of charge to get them going. You have a very famous expression, which we'll hear at the end of this podcast, and it really comes to bear. It really comes to bear when you examine what MGSN, and what I think is great is MGSN has offered to cover this podcast, I believe, in full, correct?
Yeah, MGSN, I would say there's so much value on that website. So please go to mgsn.net. And they power this whole podcast. They've made this all this content possible to you. And it's free. It's on YouTube. So check out this, not only this podcast, but all the other episodes here. It's completely powered by MGSN. And again, for entrepreneurs or people starting their own businesses, I mean, this is all extremely valuable content there. And we're just so excited they're able to help fund all these different things and really, again, get all this information out to you, because we're working with so many different founders and thought leaders and expertise in these spaces that have worked their entire careers developing and learning these things. So you don't have to do it yourself. You don't have to figure it out yourself. These are the experts. They've already done it. Listen to them, find out their mistakes and what they did right, what they did wrong, so you can be ahead of the curve. And I think that in business, you need every advantage you can get. Because it's a difficult world out there when you're on your own, especially whether it's an independent lawyer, an independent entrepreneur, or a small team of, startup or SME. So very important stuff. And I think, again, shout out to Medisante, like you mentioned, this wellness firm here. You hit on something that I think affects everyone, and that is health and wellness. And I think I'm so glad we were able to have this workshop up here in Canada, because all of our startup founders are very aware of this global epidemic, which is mental health and physical fitness. And I think this is something that we all personally can do better with. And I think it's nice that when we go on these trips and have all our founders go to a certain place, thanks to Pillow and Tea, we all get to come together here. And I like that the founder of Medisante, I was able to talk to her just earlier today.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Will that be published on MGSN?
And then that'll be published on MGSN.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
You can find it on her website as well and on Thinkland. And I think for everyone out there, this is something we all come together on. So again, every time you do these digital developments and these workshops, it's, again, the strategic partnerships coming together, sharing ideas. And it can be whether it's in law or digital development or within wellness. I think there's always something valuable to share. And that's what this is all about. Just, again, super pleased to host DEMO25 here in Canada, and another thank you to that founder of Medisante.
That's really good, Mac. I'm glad to. I can't wait to see that. Well, listen, Mac. I'll be honest with you. I have to get back to. We're doing product. I have to earn my keep as product counsel. As there is now some issues that have to be addressed, from what I heard from one of your colleagues in the incubator. So I'm going to go back to down there.
Always good to strategically partner yourself with a legal expert. So this is what it's all about here.
You know what I'd love to hear, because I want everybody out there in MGSN. Look, if you're feeling like you just don't like the job you're in, you don't see any way out, you think this is too complicated to be an entrepreneur, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's really, we were just talking about, like, there's disappointments. There seems sometimes, there's some weeks, it seems like there are more down days than up days.
Yeah, I think that's the reality too. And I think, speaking back to the demos that we did in Pune, I did a whole demo, which will be out in the public soon. Start your startups, how to start your startups. I talk about how, yeah, it's really exciting. It's amazing to be an entrepreneur, but it's more hard work than not. You're going to have more down days than not. And you have to get through that. But you don't have to do it on your own. Even if you are an individual entrepreneur, you're a solopreneur. you have the value and the content and the information is out there. Shout out to MGSN.net. Shout out to, our incredible team at Thinkland, and obviously all the different, startups that have been able to come here on this workshop. You don't have to do it alone. You can strategically partner yourself. And if you're out there and you're thinking, what is there out there for me? I want to start this business idea. I have this concept that I need help executing. I need a website. I need digital product development, all these different things. I'm telling you, it's possible because, folks, I was architecture out of school. I had all this student debt. There's always a chance to pivot your career, pivot your goals. If you do it the right way and you partner yourself with the right people. And I think, again, reach out to Thinkland. Go to our website, thinkland.com. Reach out to my team. We can connect you with the right people, the right network, and the right partnerships. So again, like always, go start your startups.